Hi, I'm Shannon Grimm with Shannon Grimm and Partners at Howard Hanna Real Estate Services. Today we are joined by Rob from Homegard.
Hello.
Rob is going to talk to us today about the benefits of putting a seller policy on your home. So, whoever you're listing with, you can use Homegard. We've kind of found that there was one other company in town that used to be good. They sold and they are no longer good. So Homegard is the best company that we found out there. So no matter who you're listing your home with, Homegard is beneficial to have.
I appreciate that, Shannon. What you just said, I was just speaking to a technician. So I speak to the technicians every day, doing approvals from the home, bringing the experience that I have hiring contractors, being a licensed contractor, and also running several remodeling companies. So I've been in the business for 3 decades. And sometimes I bring that to the table. We get a lot of interesting stories. I just had a technician yesterday that was talking about what you just mentioned about one company buying out another. Mm-hmm. This home warranty company, apparently, according to this technician, said to this technician, he's like, man, I can't believe you guys cover all this stuff. What's going on? He's like, you guys are awesome. I'm serious. And I was like, I never get tired of hearing that. But what do you mean? He said, I just went on this company, the same company you're talking about. Mm-hmm. He said, he's like, I got mad at the lady on the phone because they don't cover on the ACs compressors, they don't cover indoor coils, and they don't cover refrigerant. He's like, so what do you guys cover? This is totally worthless. This is a technician telling the other home warranty that. We built Homegard so that we could cover as much as possible. And we're always trying to add something or make it better, even depending on, the market conditions. And when I say market conditions, there are refrigerants that have been phased out. There's new equipment coming in. There's a lot of stories there. So yeah, it's quite an ordeal, from the contractor side and from the home warranty side.
Well, it was interesting because the other day we actually received feedback from a buyer about the Homegard and about the fact that the vendor she was dealing with said that Homegard is the only warranty company that they'll even deal with.
Yeah, it says novels about what we're trying to do, and I never get tired of hearing that. I'm very humbled by it, but we started out with 0 contractors 5 years ago, and flash forward 5 years later, we've got over 450 contractors, licensed, bonded, and insured contractors that we've worked with across 3 states just by word of mouth. And if I was just to put my finger on it, about 70% of them won't even work for another home warranty company.
Yeah, and I tell people, some people will say, oh, I've used Homegard before. I tell them that, like a lot of things, different companies go through life cycles. So Homegard didn't used to be owned by who it is currently owned by. It used to be worked through a different home warranty company, and that home warranty company was not great. So the who owns you now saw a need for something better, and that's how the new version of
it's what attracted me to even do this. So I had never dealt with a home warranty company. Again, I could fix my own stuff, and I've been licensed across the board from HVAC to plumbing to electrical. I never had it. I didn't need it, but most people don't have those kinds of life experiences where I've dealt with so many different companies and contractors. So I was approached, and when you say that Homegard wasn't doing well, it was pretty bad. And I had to look at it as a whole and say, okay, I heard from the agents, and they said, yeah, it doesn't take care of this, it doesn't take care of that. And it wasn't because of the management or anything else. It was just, there had to be a deeper level.
Company that was over it.
It needed a deeper level of understanding, and it just needed a hands-on approach. And so I looked at reviews of other home warranty companies. I talked to contractors. I talked to real estate agents. And at the end of the day, I said, you know what? Somebody's got to be able to run a really great, honest home warranty company. There's got to be a way to do this the right way. And that's what really spurred me on and intrigued me to take over Homegard. And to this day, we still it's not our official model, but it's kind of what we live by. That's our culture. So the Homegard representatives that pick up that phone every day, they know that is the first impression that any client has. Mm-hmm. It's not about the brochures. It's not about what we're saying in the podcast. It's literally the homeowners' first impression is when Homegard, picks up that phone, and it's not a call center. It's a Homegard representative that knows what they're talking about, and they immediately get that claim right over to one of our licensed vetted contractors that we have in a system that we know personally. Whenever I go out to different meetings, I'm a face-to-face person. I like meeting these contractors and shaking their hand and say, hey, you guys do a great job. And getting feedback from them as well. If they work with other home warranty companies, I'm all about it. I love hearing their stories from other home warranty companies, not because I want to hear somebody not getting covered by home warranty.
You're doing it right, though.
But how do we make Homegard better so that we're not that company where somebody says, they denied this and denied that. By the way, Shannon, just so you guys know, we have a 1% denial rate across the board for all of our claims.
That's incredible. I mean, I hear stories about other home warranty companies, and I hear
they're worthless.
What gets denied, and also when things are accepted, the length of time it takes for approval and for the repair work to be done. And I know from experience with you guys, the turnaround time is crazy to get, appliances, HVAC, and plumbing issues back up and running. I mean, I heard someone needed an air conditioner replaced with another home warranty company. It was 6 months.
Oh my God.
6 months. Can you imagine going through summer without air conditioning because you don't want to pay for it? You're waiting for your home warranty company who said they would cover it to cover it. That's miserable.
Yeah.
Our clients, I mean, we have them up and running. And when I say I do approvals, and I'm just going to throw this out there because I wholeheartedly believe that claims don't stop Friday at 5 o'clock and resume Monday morning at 8 or 9 a.m. So I made it mandatory. We work the same hours as what the agents do and when the claims are coming in. So we do approvals on Saturdays and Sundays. We're open Saturdays and Sundays to take in the warranties and take in the claims. And
we like working with people who have to work the same hours we do.
Absolutely. And the technicians, sometimes they call me on Martin Luther King Day, and they call me on Christmas, they call me at New Year's Day, and they say, I can't believe you're answering your phone. Do you ever take time off? No.
It's hard to.
You can't.
Because you want to be there when someone needs you.
Absolutely. Because if I don't answer the phone, or if we don't do an approval for somebody, they're having the worst day of their life. Mm-hmm. I mean, if it's Christmas Day and their furnace is out, I mean, they want that fixed. So, I mean, there's so many stories. There really is. It's absolutely unbelievable.
So let's talk about the seller policy. So I'm a huge fan of having a seller put Homegard on their home at listing because it protects them in case anything happens. And I've had a couple of times when like a hot water tank went out. So then they paid the deductible and ended up paying for the policy, and that policy automatically continued for a year for the buyer. But it still ended up saving money to the seller. So, it's kind of a win-win, I think. So if they have to use it, it's great. If they don't, that's fine too. So what are some of the other benefits?
Let me ask you, Shannon. So if they don't have a seller's policy, and if they have something break in their home, do you hear about it?
Sometimes.
Okay. Do you have to recommend contractors?
Sometimes.
Okay. That takes time out of your day. And we have vetted contractors. We just take care of it. It's one phone call. Homegard's there 7 days a week. We send out a contractor. And the only thing that you're going to hear about is your client being satisfied, because we send a claim completion out to whoever set up the seller's policy saying, hey, we were just out there and we took care of your client. And we do that for not only the seller, but for the buyer as well.
I get lots of those.
She sure does. We've done a lot of repairs. And you also get the renewals. I mean, once a homeowner sees the value in what we've done, they renew with us.
And I know a lot renew.
We have double the national rate of renewals with home warranties than any other company. I don't know. They just see the value in it. And so as an agent, you have a 13% chance that your client's going to come back and use you again. And what we do is we are that constant reminder. You told me you spend $2,000 just on calendars, just to remind the clients, hey, we're out there. Think of me the next time you're buying or selling a home. We're free advertising. We send her an email all the time. Your clients just renewed. Your clients were just had a claim done. And so that really is great advertising for the agent as well.
And you also let us know what the claim was for, too. So, and I see a lot of plumbing, actually. And I see a lot of appliances and HVACs. So those are what I predominantly see.
Yeah.
And by the way, do not buy an LG refrigerator.
Are we allowed to say that?
I just did.
She's had her experience with LG refrigerators.
So yeah, and I think one of them was the one that was rusted out. The whole back was rusted. It was only like 4 years old or something.
Yeah.
The entire back was rusted.
We had a lot of contractors that when a hot water tank is under warranty, they don't want to take the tank out, the contractor, take the tank out, take it to Lowe's or Home Depot, swap it out, bring another tank back. They want to just charge the homeowner $1,500, $2,000. They don't even tell them it's under warranty. The single most thing that I ask contractors, and this is a huge tip for homeowners, is I just say, how old is it? And then I simply either Google it. I have a whole bunch of model codes. It's sometimes you have to read codes and it gets a little more technical. But I ask how old it is. You wouldn't believe the tens of thousands of dollars that we find out that something's under warranty, from furnace heat exchangers to LG compressors to hot water tanks. It happens all the time.
But unfortunately, when it is under warranty, it's not always a good, smooth experience for the homeowner.
Through the company.
Through the actual company. Yeah, so
not
it's
from Homegard.
Right, not from Homegard. But when it's under actual warranty from the people who made it, is when it becomes very difficult. But
I can see that. I once had an LG refrigerator, and the client, it was a big house. It was under a lot of duress, where the closing was happening. The buyer was upset. The seller was upset. Long story short, this agent was like flipping out. And I said, I'll make you a deal, because this LG compressor was under warranty. And the buyer saw they were going to lose the whole deal. Long story short, I said, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to buy you a new refrigerator, but I want that LG refrigerator. And so I took that LG refrigerator. I had it delivered to our Gahanna office, and I went through the LG process of, getting a new compressor in there. That it was not easy. I'm going to say that for the record. It was not easy. To LG's credit, I didn't have to shell out a dime, and they even gave me vouchers for food, for food spoilers. I didn't use a single one of them because obviously we had no food in it. But we did that, and the refrigerator sat there, and I'm not kidding you.
But that's good because you went through the process, so you know what people should expect on that process.
Oh, I absolutely went through the process.
You know how it worked.
Because the compressor in that refrigerator that LG put in there, under warranty, went bad again. And then they did it again. And they did it again. It actually happened 4 times. I had 4 compressors put in there in like a year and a half.
Wow.
So it can be choppy, absolutely. Yeah. But...
And hopefully I don't freak out on you. Usually I'm
no.
I'm pretty calm.
No, you're always good. You're always good. I mean, some of the texts that I've seen, and it's like, we better jump on it real quick.
I'm pretty calm.
Yeah, sellers' policies, absolutely. They cover the seller, they cover the listing. We make it easier for the agent. We make it easier for the seller, and we make it easier for the close. There's no delays in close.
It's great for the buyer as well. They know leading up to the close that if anything's wrong, it's going to be fixed. If anything gets fixed, then they get to take over a great policy as well.
Absolutely. I read, now this is not my number, this is another Home Warranties number, but 60% of buyers, when they move in, will have a claim within the first 90 days. That's not me, that's another home warranty company, but
I just had one that had in Reynoldsburg that had an HVAC issue. And I think they've been in 60 days. And that house was meticulously maintained too. So you just never know. And, had an inspection and everything, and just meticulously maintained.
It's interesting because the home inspectors, some of them are really good, some are not the best. But out of the hundreds and hundreds of home inspections that I've looked through, just verifying that the equipment was in good working order, you're not required to have a home inspection to have our home warranty. Mm-hmm. But it's interesting because they'll tell you every little nail pop in the drywall. And they'll tell you that there's moss on the sidewalk. But the most expensive equipment in the house, like the HVAC or the refrigerator, they won't even check it.
Well, yeah, and I just had a home inspection company, which I really wish people would not use, but they just went and inspected a house without going in the attic, without checking the outbuilding, without checking the appliances, because they said the appliances were in use. Well, a refrigerator's always in use. What do you mean? It's what it's for. So it was a very small home, under 1,000 square feet, and you can't check everything out. It just baffles.
I mean, you're paying them to do it. I mean,
Right.
so some home inspectors are really good. It's just like
Yes, we
anything.
do know.
Some home warranties are out there, and we're trying to change the name, and some just aren't covering what they're supposed to cover. So you get both. You got to do your due diligence, but that's why we're doing podcasts like this, right?
Yes. But anyhow, so anything else you can tell us about seller policies?
The seller's policies, again, they don't cost anything to the seller until the time of close. So as far as I'm concerned, if I was an agent, put it on every listing, because if they don't get used and they get written out of the deal and there's no claim on it, it's no harm, no foul.
It still protected the seller.
Yeah, it's free coverage. It really is. Now,
Which always blows my mind.
yeah.
I know.
And even if there's a repair, all right, our average repair, I took the average repair of the last 6 months. This is the average repair, not including canceled or, just like a zero, but all the claims that we paid something, $1,186. That is the average claim that we had when we pay out contractors. You're talking, a lot of it is HVAC, obviously.
Right.
Drain openings are really big. Things like that. But yeah, there's a huge amount. And again, the buyers have a 60% chance of using it when they move in.
Which I'm not even sure how Homegard stays in business, knowing what I know about how many repairs have happened on different houses I've sold. So it just blows my mind that your average repair is 1,000, but yet the home warranty is still under 700.
We have a very strong renewal base.
Mm-hmm.
That's what keeps us going. It's not the listing or the buyer policies. It's literally it's the renewals. I mean, the people see the value in it. They like it. It covers them, and they come back to us year after year. So
It's not, I mean, to pay, under $700 out of pocket yearly to know that, oh, my $10,000 HVAC system went out, to not have that worry is nice. I mean,
For me, it's peace of mind.
it is peace of mind because, you're talking paying what, 15 years of the policy for it to equal the amount it costs to replace an HVAC system, and you're covered for a ton of different things within that policy. So,
Well, what kills me is I never realized, up until the last couple of years, that plumbing things and certain electrical things are covered too.
Oh, absolutely.
And that's huge.
Plumbing, electrical, hot water tanks, garage door openers, you name it. I mean,
Kitchen appliances.
well, the kitchen appliances, old kitchen appliances, they were built to last. I mean, I had refrigerators, they were like 30 years old and they were still chugging away.
I had an olive green refrigerator for a very long time. I think it was built the same year as me.
That's a classic.
And it lasted for it was
They
30 years old.
I mean, they're the heaviest things ever, but
Oh,
they
yeah.
lasted forever.
Well, now I think the average life for a refrigerator is 10 years. And
I wish.
and I think part of it is because we're suffocating the refrigerators by sticking them in a box.
The refrigerators,
breathe.
I'll tell you a little bit of what happened. Sometimes there's recalls, like you had mentioned the LGs. There's massive recalls on them. There's class action lawsuits, billions of dollars. But during COVID, this is another thing. During COVID, so there's lockdowns on certain countries depending on how they dealt with COVID. So they had to get the parts from China. And these parts being made by China during COVID weren't the same quality that the original countries were. So they're stuffing them in these things. And now we're seeing breakdowns on microwaves, dishwashers, things like that within 3 years, 5 years.
Wow.
Now, I know that there's extra usage during COVID because everybody's working from home, everybody was schooling from home, but we're seeing breakdowns literally within 5 years now.
Well, my husband's worked from home since 2013, so our last refrigerator was 9 years.
Yeah, they don't last very long. I mean, LGs, the past 2 or 3 LGs that we've done for your clients, how old were those refrigerators, do you know?
I think, under 10.
Yeah.
like
One was,
under 7.
Under 10.
yeah, they were under 7. One was 6, one was 3, and one was like 1 year old.
One was super,
One was like right outside of the 1 year. But there are other companies that have problems too. Samsung went through anything Samsung and water. We were having problems with for a little bit.
lumber TVs.
Yeah. Their TVs are out and their phones are
I
good.
love their TVs.
So who's your favorite kitchen appliance company then? Maybe you're not allowed to answer that. I don't know.
It's not. Okay, I'm just gonna throw this out there. It's not.
Top three. How about that?
It's not Viking
Okay, wow.
because Viking. It's a nice fridge, but when you get a Viking or a real high-end appliance, that it's always in like some obscure area, part of Ohio where there's only like 3 or 4 technicians in the entire state that can work on these things, and we're like, oh my God, how are we gonna? But we do it. I mean, if you have a saltwater pool and there's nothing but cornfields around you, and you've got a Viking refrigerator, just know that we can find the technicians for it, but you may have to wait more than 24 hours.
Yeah, it does get a little harder when you start pushing out further.
It's
Yeah,
tough, but
contractors.
we've done it. I mean, we just make it happen. So I would say I like GE, I like Maytag. Those are the ones that I see the least amount.
Okay.
Just off the cuff. I mean, I haven't done any.
Research.
Any
No
research
formal
on it.
research, just what you've had to deal with yourself.
A.L. Smith, hot water tanks, their gas valves go bad after about a year. Bradford White's are pretty good. Depending on the age of like furnaces and HVAC and ACs, we see like manufacturer problems that start arising after a certain period of time, depending on the materials they use. So we see it, but we correct it. And then we kind of move on from there.
Okay.
As long as it's fixed, as long as it's working, or we replace it.
Okay. Yeah, that's what you do. So, well, we appreciate all the hard work and appreciate you actually usually always respond to my phone calls.
Always.
At some point, you might stop taking them. But
No. And we do that. It's not just for you, for Shannon Grimm. It's also for all agents. We deal with different brokerages. We deal with different agents. But we always appreciate the agents that want to protect their clients, that care about their clients. And we're out there trying to change the name, and you guys have been helping us from day one, and we appreciate it.
yeah, we're a huge supporter because we know, for one, you're a part of our team, essentially. So you're part of what makes us look good, and we appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
But thanks for joining us today. And also, I forgot to introduce, we had Jonathan with us today, one of our interns.
Strong silent type.
And then Stanley, our very outspoken one. Technically, Mike is his name, but Stanley is his last name, and that's what we call him. But anyhow, thanks for joining us today. Make sure you like, follow, or subscribe at Shannon Grimm Realtor on all your favorite social media.
And hit that notification bell.
Yes. Thank you.